Hallo, hallo. Guys, the stream will start soon. Let me finish my drink, please. It's actually a shake, not that you think I need liquor for the streams. A sense of capital. So, I already checked the sound and it's actually working. I'm very happy about this, very glad at the beginning of this current and new earnings season Q2 2026. And as always, aloha, ladies and gents, welcome back to a new episode of Sense of Capital Live Earnings. Your host of today is Julian. I'm very glad to have all of you in, guys. And yeah, what is the reason why we come closer together today and spending some time together? Because the social media platform out of the US and globally active social media platform Reddit just announced their Q2 2026 earnings results roughly 20 minutes ago. I already can tell right now the market didn't react that fortunately. However, my first tendency about the results is quite positive. So I could be more happy actually. So it's not like feeling printing money, but let's say the money machine already starts to work from my perspective at least, yeah. However, that is just a quick teaser. And before we jump into the results and a quick introduction of the company, as always, a quick disclaimer that in the upcoming minutes and maybe hours, because I will cover as well the webcast of the company with Spes, the CEO. In upcoming minutes, it will not be financial advice, no consultation whatsoever. There's no guarantee for correctness of the provided data. So guys, I'm just a regular private person, amateur investor. Make sure you do your own research, your own due diligence, and do your own decisions, because at the end it's your own life, your destiny, and your own money, and you need to live with the results and the outcome of your decisions. Yeah. So far so good. Oh wait, let me fix this. I think that's not how it should work. Hopefully now it's better. Okay guys, and let me quickly share the screen. So you can see here Reddit. For those of you who are new to Reddit, I mean, you can see it's a social media platform, basically a website where different kind of topics get discussed by different users without any depositing any personal idea whatsoever. So it's quite anonymous. Yeah, it's very focus and topic driven, subject driven. Yeah, it's quite honest. It's, some people say, the last secure castle of true human interaction in the World Wide Web. Maybe it's not the last, but in the age of AI, it's for sure one of the stronger last ones, let's say it like this, who persists the value of human interaction. And of course, many people are visiting this website. You can see here, SEMrush, you can check out the visitors of websites and in general activity. And you can see here the top visited websites in the world, maybe in the Western world, but because you can see no Chinese website online here, for instance. Yeah, but you can see Reddit is among some very popular other websites on rank 6, quite strong. You can see year over year with roughly 15%, 15% year over year growth quite impressive, guys, if you ask me. Yeah, maybe, guys, some of you know some other websites as well, like this, huh? Or like that. Guys. However, today we will just focus reddit.com. Yeah, primarily focus at least, yeah. But you know that the human interaction, the conversations, the opinions, the data which getting exchanged on this platform, getting as well utilized by other AI providers like ChatGPT or like OpenAI behind ChatGPT, like Google with Gemini, and of course Anthropic, which is not listed here. It's not on the top 20 websites, yeah? However, I think that's quite impressive. And what is as well quite impressive, and now we get a bit deeper on the occasion why we are here live today, are the results. You can see they have been live here since roughly 10:05, at least CETs, German time or European time, Central European time. It's, I think, 4:05 it was time in New York, Eastern time. Yeah, and you can see here the results. And what I did and what I always do is actually I use all the data, all the details, compromise them, summarize them, put them together into my own Excel spreadsheet, what you should see right now. And you can see I already in the yellow boxes, I entered already all the data. It's all up to date. And it has to be up to date because I think the call is already live, if I'm not mistaken. So we first join the call right now because it's quite early in terms of Reddit. And afterwards, we will discuss, I will make some notes. We will discuss what was mentioned during the call, and we discuss the details which have been provided by the company in terms of top and bottom line growth, but as well further performances and details of the past 3 months of the company. Okay, so let's jump into the stream and let's check and hope it's working.
Advertisers and people alike. As the internet becomes flooded with synthetic content,
now you should hear it. I hope you hear it.
We are the antidote to an automated web. AI
and next to it, I will share my screen.
Reddit delivers the opposite.
And you see the after post-market price after closing. You can see it's not anymore minus 8% in the red, now minus 5%. So let's see what they're talking about. I will be Klaus. Silent.
First-hand accounts. Everything online feels flat, polished, generated, or sponsored. So consumers are overwhelmed and increasingly skeptical. We've never had more information, but we've never trusted it less. That's why decision-making is shifting from single authorities to groups of real people who have nothing to gain from you purchasing a product. And it's not just purchase decisions. It's health, careers, travel, everything. Our top priority remains growing our daily active user base by improving the experience for new users so they come back more frequently. Everyone belongs on Reddit because Reddit has content for everyone. We already have a massive base of weekly users, and our focus is on converting them into dailies. Our product work is improving engagement in key areas. Updated feed models are increasing contribution rates and session frequency, and we're successfully driving more web users to our app where they are far more engaged. We've made it easier to post on Reddit and to find the right community to post in. We've also broadened the product in ways that support growth and engagement. Video and comments helps expand our upper funnel, and interactive games on our developer platform drive repeat usage and daily habit. On a weekly basis, Reddit now reaches over 500 million people, including more than 130 million daily. In Q2, we improved our user mix and brought more high-quality users to Reddit across the app and site. And new app user retention, an area we've discussed frequently, was up 50% year over year on a relative basis this quarter. Now, this is coming from a small base, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's an important sign that we're moving in the right direction. These product efforts, paired with consumer marketing, help drive daily active users and offset headwinds in users coming from search. Search referrals were choppy in the quarter, and traffic was more volatile later in the quarter. But the bigger picture is unchanged. The commercial business is strong, our revenue growth is differentiated, and we have much to be encouraged by on the product side. While our visibility and referral traffic remains low, we're not building for drive-by traffic. We're building a daily destination. Our product work is what will get us to our goal of 1 billion daily users globally and 100 million in the US. That work takes time to gain traction, but is what will deepen engagement, strengthen our monetization flywheel, and drive more durable growth. The internet is divided between machines and humans. There's room for both, but we know who we're building for. People will always want to hear from other people. Real opinions, expertise, stories, and communities where they can ask, learn, argue, and belong. Reddit has continued to grow through every major change on the internet because the underlying need has not changed. Human connection is existential, and Reddit is the most human place on the internet. That's why I'm so confident in where we're going. Thank you, as always, for being along the ride with us. Now I'll hand it over to Jen.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone. Q2 was another strong quarter for Reddit, reflecting the momentum of our advertising business and the differentiation of our platform. Reddit's billions of conversations across hundreds of thousands of communities give advertisers a unique way to reach high-intent audiences and drive measurable, consistent returns. In the age of AI, authentic human conversations have become more distinctly helpful, desired, and valuable. We brought this message to life with the launch of our brand campaign, People Are the Best. The campaign celebrates the people who come to Reddit every day for real perspectives, recommendations, and advice, and the communities that help keep the internet human. And our research continues to show that no matter where the consumer journey begins, Reddit helps influence purchase decisions and accelerate outcomes. This message resonated at Cannes Lion, where we met more than 1,000 customers and partners. Helping people access human perspective is central to our mission and strategy to reach 1 billion daily users and to help advertisers connect with more audiences. Now moving to our results. In Q2, total revenue grew 61% year over year to $805 million, and advertising revenue grew 64% to $762 million, reflecting broad-based strength across the business. Revenue growth was driven by both pricing and impressions, demonstrating the increasing value we deliver to advertisers. Reddit's content and communities combine search-like intent with the depth and breadth of social, creating a distinct and valuable audience for advertisers to reach and drive results. In Q2, we turned this intent into outcomes, with conversion volume growing over 100% and click volume growing over 30% year over year. In Q2, mid and lower funnel performance objectives contributed meaningfully, with revenue from dynamic product ads and app installs each more than doubling year over year. We saw strength across our sales channels, including large customers and scaled. Our scaled channel revenue, which includes mid-market and SMBs, doubled year over year. We also saw strength across industry verticals, particularly retail and travel, while active advertisers grew over 70% year over year. Now I'll discuss our progress across the ad stack. Our strategy is to make businesses of all sizes successful on Reddit by delivering market competitive outcomes across objectives, and our ongoing investments are measurable and delivering returns. We're executing against 3 areas: scaling automation through our ads platform in Reddit Max, delivering advertiser value across the full funnel, expanding the Reddit for Business ecosystem. Starting with automation, Reddit Max launched a private beta earlier this year, and we're seeing strong adoption and performance for mid and lower funnel advertisers. The number of advertisers using Max grew over 60% from Q1, while Max revenue grew over 150% during the same period. We continue to add capabilities to the Max suite. In Q2, we added the app install objective to Max campaigns and launched tailored creatives, which uses AI to identify relevant communities and audiences, then designs variants on advertiser creative to improve ad relevance and performance. Max campaigns are proving to drive better performance for advertisers and high LTV customers. For example, Lenovo achieved 40% higher purchase value with Max than with standard campaigns, demonstrating how AI-driven optimization can turn high-intent users into high-value customers. Looking ahead, we plan to expand Max to a broader range of advertisers and make it the primary onboarding experience for SMBs. We also plan to introduce new features that simplify activation and continue enhancing our models to drive stronger performance. Now moving to our progress across marketing objectives. With more than 500 million weekly users, Reddit delivers strong outcomes for brand advertisers in the upper funnel. Video views was our fastest growing upper funnel objective, more than doubling revenue year over year. Our 6-second engaged video views goal, which became generally available in January, helps video-first advertisers optimize for longer, more meaningful views. In testing, the objective delivered over a 130% lift in 6-second view-through rate, over a 70% increase in video completion rate, and an 80% reduction in cost per 6-second video view with auto bidding. Video is a growing user and ad content format on Reddit and an area of continued investment across the consumer and monetization roadmaps. We recently launched video and comments, and with investments in our interactive and AMA ad formats, we see an opportunity to offer advertisers more distinctive creative experiences that help them build brand awareness and connect with their customers in a unique way on Reddit. In the lower funnel, shopping and app install objectives are delivering measurable growth and outcomes for advertisers. Max campaigns for app ads entered beta, with tests showing an average 15% reduction in cost per action and a 28% increase in results volume. Using Max campaigns on Reddit, online pharmacy Doc Morris achieved a 20% lower cost per install and scaled spend after also seeing a cost per purchase that outperformed benchmarks by over 70%. Shopping on Reddit continues to be an exciting opportunity. Building on our dynamic product ads roadmap, we launched an alpha test of shopping listing ads. This multi-advertiser product carousel matches product catalogs with high-intent shopping conversations, which are growing 40% year over year on Reddit. The format expands our performance offering beyond single advertiser catalog ads and is designed around the way people compare products and make purchase decisions on Reddit. Now turning to measurement. We made important investments in our first-party tools while third-party research further validated Reddit's impact and strengthened our position within the broader ad measurement ecosystem. In Q2, we launched dual attribution in beta, giving app install objective advertisers better visibility into Reddit's role throughout the consumer journey beyond what standard last touch models may capture. With dual attribution, we combine our first-party attribution signals with existing mobile measurement partner signals to improve our ML models, campaign optimization, and advertiser outcomes. Third-party research is validating our impact across categories and geographies. Research from Attain and Circana found that Reddit delivered 1.5 times higher return on ad spend for CPG advertisers than other social platforms on average across the US and Western Europe. The research also showed that Reddit shoppers generated higher lifetime value across categories including food, beverage, and personal care. In another study, TransUnion identified Reddit as the most efficient paid social channel in EMEA for retail advertisers, driving an average 7 times higher ROAS, or return on ad spend, with 13% of Reddit's impact also lifting other marketing channels. Lastly, I'll discuss how we're expanding the Reddit for Business ecosystem. We're building more always-on relationships and making it easier for advertisers to scale their spend on Reddit through our Ads API and credit lines. Ads API revenue grew over 40% from Q1, and more than half of our revenue comes from credit line relationships. Our Shopify integration became generally available in May, and more than 500 accounts are now integrated with strong activation rates and average revenue per advertiser. We now plan to focus on improving the Shopify product experience, acquiring merchants, and increasing dynamic product ads adoption among Shopify integrated clients. Overall, this was another strong quarter for Reddit. Our commercial momentum reflects both strong execution and the differentiated value of the Reddit ecosystem, which is helping our partners generate consistent and durable outcomes. Thank you for joining us and for your continued support. Now I'll turn the call over to Drew.
Thank you, Jen, and good afternoon, everyone. The financial headline from a strong Q2 is that Reddit's consistent revenue growth continues to fuel compounding growth in cash flow and profitability. Specifically, Reddit grew more than 60% for the 8th consecutive quarter, while operating cash flow, adjusted EBITDA, net income, and GAAP EPS all more than doubled in the quarter year over year. It's not often most key profit and cash flow metrics double year over year. These results speak to the fact we continue to maintain a healthy balance between growth and profitability. Q2 was our fifth consecutive quarter where our revenue growth rate plus our adjusted EBITDA margin was over 100%. And we're converting that strong growth and margin into cash. It was great to see we crossed $1 billion of operating cash flow on a last 12-month basis for the first time. I'll now provide more color on our Q2 results. Q2 revenues of $805 million grew 61% year over year, driven by ad revenue of $762 million, which grew 64% year over year. Other revenue reached $43 million, up 24% year over year. U.S. revenues were up 56%. International revenues were up 84%. Average revenue per unique user grew 36% year over year to $6.18. Moving to expenses, total adjusted costs and expenses, which include both adjusted cost of revenue and adjusted OpEx, were $462 million, up 39% year over year. That's very consistent with the 41% rate of cost growth we've seen over the last 4 quarters. Gross margin was 91.3%, up 50 basis points versus last year. We saw margin tailwinds from incremental revenues and hosting efficiency programs, offsetting the increased use of compute, including higher AI and ML usage. In the quarter, cost of revenue was $70 million, up 53% year over year, which includes thoughtful investments we're making in such areas as machine learning, site performance and safety, and ad targeting. Now, operating expenses remains the far larger piece of our adjusted cost base. It's more than 80%. In Q2, we saw 2 positive takeaways. One, adjusted OpEx was $392 million, 49% of revenue, compared to 57% last year. So we continue to get cost leverage. And then second, as Steve mentioned, we crossed $1 million of revenue per headcount on an LTM basis for the first time. This was an important North Star we set at our IPO and a positive signal of an increasingly more efficient and more effective team here at Reddit. On hiring, we added about 100 people in Q2. We evaluate resource needs with an ROI mindset, focusing on clear opportunities to improve the consumer product, the ad stack, and coverage of advertiser accounts. We view marketing spending as an important enabler to reach our bold North Star goals of 100 million U.S. users and 1 billion worldwide DAUs. In the quarter, overall paid marketing results were mixed. We did see some encouraging signals with our newly launched brand campaign called People Are the Best, but user acquisition spending needs stronger attention to improve returns. We'll continue to evaluate the mix of our spend moving forward. Overall, in Q2, total marketing spend was slightly higher sequentially on a percentage of revenue basis across both paid and brand marketing. Finishing up on costs, stock-based compensation-related taxes were $107 million, or 13% in revenue, well in line with benchmarks. SBC was sequentially higher, primarily driven by the timing of our annual grant, which happened in Q2. Even with that timing impact, dilution remains manageable. Total fully diluted shares outstanding were 207 million, up 0.3% sequentially and up 0.2% year over year on a net basis, considering share repurchases, which became a more meaningful tool this quarter. We repurchased about $235 million worth of stock, about 1.5 million shares, at an average price of around $157. We have about $760 million left on our current authorization. Sequential dilution was up 0.3% on a net basis and 1% on a gross basis, excluding the impact of share repurchases. A couple more financial points of interest. First, income taxes were slightly higher in Q2 than the prior year, but the effective tax rate remains modest. Net income was $253 million, $1.31 per basic share, $1.25 per diluted share, multiples more than the 48 cents and 45 cents, respectively, from a year ago. Operating cash flow doubled from $111 million last year to $262 million this year, while CapEx was $1 million and less than 0.2% of revenue, so still very light. We ended Q2 with $2.8 billion in cash equivalents, and marketable securities, up over $700 million from a year ago and slightly higher sequentially, as cash generated from operations was mostly offset by cash used for repurchases. So now turning to the outlook, we'll share our internal thoughts on revenue and adjusted EBITDA for the third quarter, and then I'll cover a few additional items for the back half of the year. In the third quarter 2026, we estimate revenue in the range of $860 to $870 million, representing 47 to 49% year-over-year revenue growth with a midpoint of about 48%. Adjusted EBITDA in the range of $385 million to $395 million, representing 63 to 67% year-over-year growth, and an adjusted EBITDA margin of 45% at the midpoint. The Q3 guide reflects continued momentum in the business, which also takes into account our current investment plans. I'll also share an outlook for stock-based compensation. We are lowering our full-year expense guide for SBC from the high teens as a percentage of revenue to the low to the mid-teens as a percentage of revenue. To date, we've seen good leverage on this expense, and it's less than 13% of revenue to date, down more than 1,000 basis points versus the first half of last year. In Q3, we do expect SBC and related taxes to elevate to be between $140 to $155 million as prior grants at lower share prices vest and were refurbished with grants at higher share prices. We also expect our full-year dilution to be at the lower end of our 1 to 3% targeted range. This is before considering any additional factors like buybacks, which would lower the number further, or acquisitions, which could increase that total depending on the scale of the deal and the cash stock mix. Additionally, as we announced earlier this year, Q2 will be the last quarter we report logged in and logged out user metrics. In Q3 2026 disclosures, we'll continue to report total U.S. and international daily and weekly active users, but we'll no longer report logged in and logged out daily active users. As we move forward, we'll continue to assess our user reporting and we'll ensure it reflects how we look at and run our business. So to summarize, Reddit continues to scale in a one-of-one way. Most of the major profit and cash flow metrics doubled in Q2. Revenue and monetization continue to grow at a differentiated pace. Margins remain strong, CapEx was light, and we began to deploy capital in a more meaningful way. It's particularly encouraging to see the way cash flow is scaling. As I mentioned up front, on an LTM basis, Reddit's operating cash flow crossed $1 billion. We have the liquidity and cash capability to satisfy our three capital priorities, which is first, investing in the business, second, opportunistic M&A, and third, share repurchases, while maintaining a high level of profitability. That concludes my comments. Let me turn the call back over to Steve.
Thanks, Drew. Before we turn over to the group for questions, let me take one from the Reddit stock community. The question is, what's a memorable conversation and moment you had at Cannes? Let me give you a couple. The first thing that came to mind was one of our brand ambassadors. I had to clear up that, yes, I work here, and no, I'm not 28. The second, more business-focused, is, without naming names, had a couple of meetings with brands that we've wanted as customers for a long time. And it's just more of the same trend. More and more folks are really starting to get Reddit and understanding how important it can be to them. So really encouraging there. And then overall, I think, I love the way our team shows up. We did, I think, over 500 meetings and met just about all of our customers or all of our large customers. And so it's just really encouraging to see folks, I think, really appreciate what we're trying to do for them. So thanks for the question.
Okay, Julianne, let's open the line up for questions from the folks there.
Thank you. I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Our first question comes from Tom Champion from Piper Sandler. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Good afternoon. Very strong quarter commercially. Jen, what drove the strength in the ads business this quarter? And then for Steve, as you think about 2Q and early 3Q, what do you want investors to understand about the trend in user growth and your ability to drive high-quality users to Reddit? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. I'll take the first question. Look, I think it was another strong quarter. You see the consistency in our business. Number one, I think our message is resonating with advertisers broadly. I mean, our influence in the purchase decision journey, I think, is clear. And, I think increasingly they realize that their customers are putting an increasing value on human advice, and Reddit is the place for that. So they realize how important our environment is. We continue to deliver like market competitive outcomes. And our strategy, I think, just continues to build momentum. Like our strategy has been making every impression more valuable. When you look at the volume of conversions growing and clicks growing, what that means for an advertiser is that they're getting more outcomes at equal or better prices. So we're just getting more competitive with all of the signals, ML work, and opto work that we're doing. The other piece that I think is really kicking in is very strong adoption of our tools. So this is making it easier to onboard advertisers. So this is why you see advertiser growth like 70% year over year, because we're able to make it easier to onboard advertisers. We're then delivering more efficiency, which retains them and allows them to scale spend. And then we're making it easier for them to stay always on with more credit line adoption and taking friction out of working across the funnel. And then finally, what I'll say is like I think our business is diversifying across so many dimensions that it's made it really resilient. So, if you look across verticals, like 11 out of 15 verticals grew over 50% year over year. Our our active advertiser count grew over 70%. Our scaled channel, which houses mid-market and SMBs, doubled. Rest of world grew 80% plus. So our footprint is just getting so much more diversified, which makes our business also very resilient and flexible.
Okay, second question, Tom, thanks, about users. So as we said last quarter, our goal is to achieve 1 billion daily users globally and 100 million in the US. There's no change there. Reddit is a destination, and in the US, we have nearly 200 million users coming every week. And we primarily grow through our product work, and that's how we drive daily direct users, and we're making progress there. And we added, through that product work, DAU in the quarter, but it was offset by a decline in search referrals. So first, on the product, we improved new app user retention. This is one of our most important metrics and priorities. It was up 50% year over year on a relative basis. We grew our reach. We crossed 500 million weeklies. US and international weeklies both grew sequentially. On the contribution side, we made it easier to find and post in the right community. So there are now 26 billion posts and comments on Reddit, with 1 billion added since Q1. And our thriving communities are growing significantly. And we're more effectively converting web users into higher value app and direct users. And we saw success with video and comments, which is expanding our upper funnel. We did see headwinds in search referrals, particularly late in the quarter, and visibility with the referral traffic remains low. But we're focused on what we can control, which is our direct users driven by product efforts. And we believe this work will be transformational. It'll take time, but this is how we get to that billion global, 100 million users in the US.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Ron Josey from Citi. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Thanks for taking the question. Maybe a quick follow-up to Tom's question. And Steve, you mentioned in the letter that growing DAUs is a top priority. I know you just talked about app usage and the quality of the traffic, but talk to us a little bit more just around the products that can convert, call it, the pretty strong WAU growth to DAUs. And particularly, I wanted to hear more about the focus on the feed. And then, there's been a lot of articles and press reports just about the data licensing partnerships that you currently have. Any updates on strategy as you approach this, or anything as we get closer and closer to call it the renewal rates in early 1Q for others? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Ron. So on users, so focused on the WAUs to DAUs would be an increase in frequency. We drive that primarily by making Reddit more sticky. You mentioned the feed. I think over the short, medium, and long term, improvements to our feed will improve that frequency. I think there's a lot of headroom there. If I'm to be frank, I think our feed technology is just behind the state of the art, which gives us a lot of headroom to catch up. And I'm particularly encouraged at the talent we're bringing into Reddit over the last quarter to help build that next generation of feeds. But all the little stuff works too. So we did hundreds of experiments in the last quarter, and many of them worked on their path to GA of just kind of chipping away at retention and quality which drives that growth. So this is in onboarding, this is in posting, this is in performance across the app. So really starting to feel that momentum. And then I mentioned conversion, right? So this is taking that big top of funnel web user base we have and converting those into mobile app users. We've been dialing that up as well and driving more downloads. And those users, many of them are already Reddit users, and they retain quite well and do even better in the app. So we're seeing a lot of progress across the board there. And I think, again, a lot of headroom. On data licensing, no change in strategy, working hard. Reddit's content is in demand, and it's not commodity content. People seek it out intentionally by name, and many come directly to Reddit. Our relationships here are multifaceted. So Reddit is used for training, it's used for post-training to teach these models how to talk, it's used for grounding, it's used as a search index. And so there are many layers and dimensions for how this can work. Reddit's data is valuable beyond just raw training data. And these deals aren't binary. They have to make sense for Reddit, but there's many ways, I think, for the value to return to Reddit. But our goal is to maximize the value return to Reddit.
Thank you, Steve. Great quarter.
Thanks, Ron.
Our next question comes from Rich Greenfield from LightShed Partners. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Steve, I don't want to belabor this point, but your stock is down sharply because there is just a sense from investors that you have I don't want it to be blunt, a user problem, especially in the US, that users are, it's only a slight tick down, but they're ticked down despite all of the investments you've made over the last year. And I certainly hear you on the weekly improvement, but people are looking at the daily and saying, the logged out traffic is going to be under pressure because as search shifts to AI, you're not going to get referrals, and that it's going to be harder to get people to go from logged out to logged in. And that's sort of symptomatic of what you're seeing. And so you're buying back a lot of stock. You don't seem concerned, or you and Jen seem very confident. Jen and Drew all seem very confident. I guess what gives you so much confidence that you're going to grow to, 100 million logged in users in the US and 1 billion globally versus the slight tick down this quarter? Because there's obviously a big disconnect, and it's obviously impacting your stock. And then just the second piece of that to follow up on Ron's question, do you see any world where you're not licensing data to Google and OpenAI next year?
Okay. Thanks, Rich. So, look, let me start with the end first. We are confident because our product work is working. Reddit is communities and conversation. Communities are universal. And so we think we have, in the US, content for everyone, and it's a matter of revealing that. And we're making progress towards that end. Moving new user retention in the app this significantly in a quarter is something that we're very proud of, and that sort of improvement in retention drives growth, and that is work that we're in control of. Yes, external search is volatile, particularly logged out web, but that's not where our business lives. And we will make sure that we get as much value from that traffic as we can. And so that's where we've been driving conversions from web to app, and that's become more effective as well. So long term, we are as confident as ever that we're going to get to those milestones that we've set. But the work does take time, and we do have a lot of work to do in the product. But driving that direct growth is in our control, and we're seeing some progress there. Is there a world in which we don't do licensing? Well, I think the range of outcomes is wide, and we have to look at every aspect of this and make sure that we're maximizing value to Reddit. Within Google, it's not just licensing. There's and our relationship with them actually predates the formal kind of data licensing agreement. Our long history in 10 blue links, and now the Reddit's placement in AI overviews alongside licensing. And we've also seen just development or an expansion of how Reddit's content is used, both with them and others. So I don't think there's a binary outcome. I think all of these different touch points whether we're talking about training or blue links or AI overviews or whatever comes next. Those are all independent decisions. And we will make sure that we're maximizing the value to Reddit. But for us, it's not just traffic or clicks. We want users into the Reddit ecosystem. Right? Reddit is a community and conversation product, and so we want to bring users into that ecosystem and that flywheel of Reddit. And so that's what we're looking to do in any of these relationships.
There are more buyers of that data than just Google and OpenAI in your mind?
Of course. One of the things that we've seen over the last year is more and more people interested in Reddit's data for different use cases or at different scales. And so we do look at this as an expanding marketplace with lots of different opportunities.
Our next question comes from Mark Mahaney from Evercore. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hey, two questions, please. You talked about these headwinds and search referrals late in the quarter. Just put some context around this. Is this something that just pops up from time to time? Were those headwinds greater than what you normally see, less than what you normally see? Any interpretation as to what caused those referrals? And then just back on the licensing, please. Any expectations you want to set as to when we'll get resolution on licensing? By the end of this year, halfway through next year, anything like that? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. So on the traffic, so the search ecosystem continues to evolve. We've seen changes like this before. I won't comment on the magnitude, but I think what I've said before is this is not our first rodeo, and I've used that phrase on these calls before, and so we do see these changes. Specifically, we don't typically get much insight into what's going on. In this case, we've seen a couple of different aspects to it. One, we saw a decline in our machine translated content. So this is part of the volatility on the international side. Machine translation remains a useful strategy within our app for new users. Right? So we have content to show them. And then with the evolution towards AI overviews, I think more broadly what we see is, 10 blue links has driven tremendous value and growth to the broader ecosystem. From where we sit, AI overviews has yet to make a similar level of positive impact. And I think that's consistent across the broader landscape, right? Us, businesses, publishers, retailers. But we're still looking for that win-win. But our visibility on search continues to remain low, and we expect it to probably continue to be volatile. So what we're focused on is making Reddit a destination and driving more direct traffic to our app.
Our next question comes from Justin Post from Bank of America. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Thanks. I'll try a different topic. Jen, you think about where you are in the U.S. You did over $20 in ARPU in the first half, approaching 50 for the year. How do you think about where you are with ad loads, auction density, advertiser ROIs? Is there still room to grow that significantly from here on your user base? And then maybe one for Drew. How are you measuring the returns on your marketing spend? Thank you.
Yeah, happy to take that. Look, I think we still have a lot of ARPU headroom because I look at our roadmap and I see lots of ways that we can continue to deliver value for our advertising partners, i.e. more outcomes at more competitive prices. If you look at, we're a marketplace, right? So what's great about a marketplace is that you can have this be demand driven as well as performance driven. So there's a lot of flexibility in the marketplace for the market to meet each other in terms of the supply and the demand. I do think that when I think about the headroom that we have, it will be driven by, I think, a lot of the outcomes across the funnel. So if I had to give you where I think we're driving incremental value to advertisers today, it's that 6-second guaranteed video view is incredibly valuable. It's been a really nice performing product for us. And we're, being Reddit with high intent, we intend to go deep on that view. And that's a really high quality, high value view. Obviously, the volume of conversions, the volume of app installs, the volume of leads This is an area that will continue to do work. So I feel really good about our ability to continue to drive our strategy, which is to make every impression more valuable. As long as we do that, I think that continues to fuel our business and continue to fuel our ARPU.
Justin, the primary metric we use to evaluate marketing spend is really a very straightforward cash model, P&L based, looking at acquisition of a user, the cost of the user, looking at the retention of that user, the monetization of that user, netted out over a pretty short time frame. So overall, it's a pretty consistent look, I think, across the industry, give you a real straight value. Once in a while, we'll look at the balance sheet value, we'll look at the value of a user overall. But mostly it's a very straightforward kind of ROI-based, quick payback model in the short term. That's how we think about it.
Our next question comes from John Colantuoni from Jefferies. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Thanks for the questions. I wanted to come back to engagement. As you look to continue driving engagement, how do you see that impacting the experience for users on the homepage versus in subreddits? And could you see the feed looking more like some other social platforms that are doing a good job marrying machine learning and video content? And second question, maybe just on Reddit answers and search. Can you give us an update on engagement trends within search and where you are in launching a generally available advertising offering on that surface? Thanks.
Okay, I'll take the first two and maybe Jen coming on the end. Okay, so thanks for the question, Sean. So in terms of engagement distribution across the app, even today, the primary surface is the home feed versus subreddits. And so this is why it's such an essential service, and this is why our surface and why we see so much headroom in improving our performance there, improving the technology that backs that feed, because it does a lot of the heavy lifting of juggling a user subreddits, and it's one of the primary drivers of subreddit discovery. So I expect it will continue to do much of the heavy lifting. You're touching on something that we're working on right now, which is how do we show video in the home feed? This has been something on our minds for a while, getting this right, especially as we have more and more video content on Reddit. And so there's two aspects to this. The first is just generally, how do we make video work in the feed, because it's such a mixed media feed, right? You've got video, you've got text, you've got images. So those flows from feed to theater mode to the comment page back to the feed are essential. I know there's a lot of opportunity for improvement there. We're working on, I think, some things that really streamline that and help. And the other thing we're working on is just a video Reddit experience. So letting users not just watch video on Reddit, but listen to posts, background listen to posts. We see folks doing this off-platform. There's an emerging content type elsewhere on the internet of basically podcasts where people read Reddit content. And so I think this version of like listened to or spoken Reddit can be really engaging as well. And so that would be almost a different format entirely. So there's a lot of things that we're working on now that I'm looking forward to testing later this year. On answers in search, making steady progress there. The search bar is now universal within the app. We grew both searchers and search as in the quarter. And I think, for many queries that I run at least, Reddit is now the best platform for searching Reddit. That hasn't always been the case. And so we're chipping away at that. But I think any query where you want to know something or want to see multiple perspectives, like what should I watch? What do people think about this? What should I buy? Reddit provides the best answers on the internet. So I'm really encouraged with the progress there. And we're starting to look towards ads on that surface, which I'll turn over to Jen to address.
Yeah, so search is in a space where it's very married to like a shopping experience, and so there's a couple of different angles to this. One is that we think that the search page can be enriched with more like rich media modules, so it can have product visuals from the catalogs that we have when people are searching or discussing or a specific product. And we started to do that. We had done a test early on electronics and consumer electronics, and now we've expanded those categories. And so that enriches the core search experience and hopefully increases engagement so people get more out of that experience. And I do agree with Steve that I think, especially the agentic ask function on Reddit search, I think is now the best way to search Reddit. The second is what goes along with that engagement at the product level when you have a match is ads, right? So I talked about our shopping listing ads where you can have a module that has multiple different retailers and product types and brands in one module. That's a great sort for a search page. And that's ultimately how I think ads would be well represented on search. So that's a space that we're eyeing. We clearly have the capability to do it. We keep tracking as the page settles and as users adopt that. We do see an advertising opportunity there. And the good news is we have the infrastructure and I think a lot of that capability already queued up.
Our next question comes from Josh Beck from Raymond James. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking the question. Maybe more of a multi-pronger on the product side. So the new app user retention, you certainly highlighted as an area of early success. I think you said it was up maybe 50% year-over-year, small base. But just kind of curious specifically what unpacked that, and I assume that's part of the confidence in the product work that you have moving forward. And then on the feed models, I don't know if you can maybe give us some type of purview into the drivers. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into building these models between retrieval and ranking and serving and refresh, and there's a million different parameters, and you probably don't want to get too much detail, but just kind of any sense you can give us on maybe what are some of the specific areas you're focusing within the feed improvement. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Josh. Okay. New app user retention. Yes, 50% on a relative basis, which it's a hard number to move, and it's one of our most important. It's I think, our best measurement of product quality. So do users open Reddit and then want to come back the next week? So that's what we've been moving. There's a number of factors here. One of the biggest is conversion. So we're basically taking core users or frequent users from the web and turning them into app users where they become even better users. And we have a lot of those. Second is within the app itself. So onboarding is much improved. So more effectively connecting users to their home on Reddit. Some of the in the trenches work around login, account recovery, preserving logins after reinstalls, all of these things add up and have pushed this number higher. I think both the new retention or the new user retention on an absolute basis has still a lot of room for improvement. This is what we've been talking about for years. Once users get Reddit, they really get it, but it can be a hard product to get. And so every time we make it easier, we grow. And so this is the healthy mix shift we've been looking for, and I can start to see the momentum. That's why we're confident. On the feed, you're right, we could talk about this all day. I'd say broadly, our model, the models we use today are smaller than state-of-the-art, significantly smaller. So we can scale up the size of the model. Our models update slower, so days and not instead of versus state-of-the-art, which is hours or minutes. And the amount of our user activity that we actually incorporate into the models is like 10% of our user activity, where that could be significantly higher. So basically across the board. Oh, and the category set, the candidate set. So posts that are eligible for recommendation. Reddit right now is limited to a week. And so Reddit is basically our feed is almost like a real-time feed where we have this actual massive corpus. Much of that content is timeless. So think about things like parenting advice or book or movie reviews, things like that are relevant for a very long time. We don't show those on the feed at all. So we can dramatically improve candidate selection, model size, model speed, the signals that go in from users, pretty much every dimension, we have, sometimes order of magnitude improvement opportunity. So we'll be doing that work over the next year, and I expect every improvement we make to work because we're just starting from such a low base.
Our next question comes from Andrew Boone from Citizens. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thanks so much for taking the questions. Jen, I wanted to ask about SMB. You guys have Shopify coming on board. It sounds like Max is doing well. Can you just unpack the success that you're seeing with SMBs? And then what should we be thinking about as we think about the back half of the year in that group? And then Steve, just going back to engagement, if I think about the feed and platforms that are scaled, everyone kind of has a creator ecosystem that's kind of gotten to that billion user level. Do you guys need to do anything different in terms of the content that's on the platform to really get to the scale, or do you guys think you have what you need today? Thanks so much.
I'll take the question on SMB. So this is a segment that's been growing really nicely for us, but there's just still thousands and thousands of SMBs globally that aren't yet on our platform. A couple things. We continue to acquire into this channel. And obviously, Shopify is a partnership that allows us to do that. We'll be doing some joint marketing efforts to, accelerate the acquisition now that we have the capability to sync in catalog and have CAPI, integrated into Shopify automatically from Shopify merchants. So we'll really be ramping up, sort of that co-marketing effort. The second is, the onboarding to SMB today is not the optimal onboarding with Max. We're still doing the foundational work on what is the right entry point for SMB that takes out more friction, that is more tailored to their needs, and that allows them to onboard and enjoy Max faster. So that's to come. That's ahead of us, but we think that that'll be really important for unleashing, more acquisition, smoother acquisition, ramping of acquisition, as well as, a great experience faster on our platform. So those are the things that, we have in the hopper against SMBs. Obviously, SMBs also benefit from all the horizontal work we do, generally making all of our objectives, more efficient. Everyone benefits from that. So I feel really good about the momentum in our SMB business. But I think there's a little more tailored product work that we want to do for this customer set.
Okay, and then on the creator ecosystem, there's a lot of progress that we made in this quarter. So posts per logged in DAU, comments per logged in DAU, globally and in the US are all up, as is thriving communities. And there's a lot of work behind this. So we've got a new post composer on both mobile and web, so it's easier to post. New comment composer. We're better directing users to which subreddit they will be successful posting in, making better community recommendations. And we're also working on what I think is one of the biggest opportunities, which is post success. So making it easier and more consistent for new users. One of the challenges right now is new users are likely to have their posts removed because their account isn't old enough. These are kind of long-standing strategies that have not aged well. And so using LLM-assisted moderation, we can help bring in the prospective great user and continually get better at keeping the spammers and other bad behaviors out. Video in comments is a new feature. That's already more than 10% of our video posts is from that feature. And so we're seeing nice engagement there as well. I do think our creator ecosystem will look different than what you see on other platforms. The way I've often described it is the social media platforms are for the 1% of creators, and Reddit is for everybody else. Our view is that everybody has something interesting to say, even if you're not a professional content creator. Right? Everybody has a question, everybody has a need, everybody has a bit of advice to give or something interesting to share, and that is what Reddit is for. And so I think of social media, it's a lot of professional content creators, and Reddit is for everybody else, but making it more, making Reddit easier to post to and increasing the post success rate for everybody is the name of the game for us, but we made some nice progress this quarter.
Our next question comes from Benjamin Black from Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Thank you for taking my questions. Just a follow-up on marketing spend. It does appear, just given the ARPU that you're generating per user, that the ROI on that spend should be quite attractive. So I guess the question really is, why not spend more? What are you seeing in terms of the retentiveness of the users that you're bringing through some of these paid channels, and what can you do to improve it, I guess? And then Drew, incremental margins have remained exceptionally strong. Right, as the company continues to scale, where do you see the largest remaining opportunity for operating leverage over the next few years? Thank you.
Good. Let me take that one. Look, on the marketing side, we think that marketing is a very important piece to get to our bold goals. Like that's really important. We certainly want to continue to do user acquisition spending. I spent a minute talking to Justin about what our model is. Pretty straightforward model. I think it's very similar to other folks in the industry. I think the key unlocker there is we just need better user retention. As Steve said, we're up 50% this quarter. That's starting to speak to the product work, but there's still more work to do. On a relative basis, we're lower than others in the space, and so we're going to continue to try at it. I would say on the marketing side, we did also launch our People Are the Best campaign this quarter. That really shook some things up. We got a lot of positive press from that, and I think the more that we can balance the user acquisition growth with or the user acquisition spending with brand spending, I think we'll end up in a better place. And so I think overall, we're committed to the spend in the marketing area. We think the brand will benefit from it. We'd like to continue to invest through it. I think there's dialogues about how do we maybe spend a little bit more on the brand. But overall, I think the real unlocker on just getting more UA spending would be just better retention. Like it is that simple. We have a great model from a gross margin perspective, so an incremental user here is worth a lot. You're pointing out the ARPU, it's very high. Those are two things that are terrific here. They should really help us. We just need a little bit more from the retention, and we could really, move on this one. Your second question was around the incremental margins. Look, you're right. We've been running incremental margins in the high 50s, low 60s for the better part of a couple of years. The incremental margins here are powerful. We don't manage the business for incremental margins. We look at individual ROI on investments. I think we continue to be very fortunate with the incremental flow through here. When we get incremental revenues, you really can, particularly on the gross margin line, you can flow those between 95 and 99%. And so that's how I really think about incrementality. And then it's just a question of what investments that you want to make. I mean, I think right now we make the investments that we want to make. We don't hold investments back because we say, well, geez, we need the incremental margins here to stay in the high 50s. That's not the way the company runs. We really look at individual investments where it makes sense. We put the money behind it, and we go ahead and do that. I think we've had a lot of success with our investments. We've invested a lot in the ad tech stack. You can see that results in the monetization. We've invested a lot in our sales team. You can see 8 quarters in a row of 60% or more. So those have been two of our probably more prominent investments. As Steve mentioned, we're investing a lot on the talent side to bring in machine learning talent and really just upgrading our growth team in a meaningful way. So those are investments we make. We make those investments because it's right. I do think the margins continue to accrete here. The long-term goal is 50%, and so that's what we're focused on right now. And I think most of that will come from just leverage off of incremental revenues. There aren't huge pockets of costs that we're sort of staring at right now and say we could take that out. That would be my take on your question.
Julianne, I think we have time for one last question.
Our last question today will come from Jason Helfstein from Oppenheimer. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thanks for squeezing me in. I'll just ask one. So you're obviously calling out the importance of, we'll call like high-quality user app user logged in. There's probably a lot of different ways you think about a high quality user, but is the takeaway that you want us to view here is while you may be hurt by referral traffic, that if is a high quality user worth, kind of, I don't know, multiples of, let's say, what one like referral traffic. So it's not necessarily, equal. And so while the street is focused on, okay, you're down 300,000, DAU sequentially US, the idea that you can offset that over time with your mix of higher quality users. So maybe just elaborate more how you want us to think about the importance of a high quality user and maybe other metrics we'll share about that in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. I think you've got it exactly right. The direct users, the app users are worth multiples more than the search referral traffic. We're not building Reddit for that drive-by traffic. We're building Reddit for direct usage. And that's where our business lives. And you can see that in the performance of our ads business, right? Despite search volatility, and we've seen volatility like this many times in the past, our revenue growth has been very strong and consistent. It's because our business lives with those direct repeat users and growing that base. And both through our conversion efforts and retention efforts, I think we've made nice progress this quarter. And that's the work that we can control, regardless of what happens in the broader search ecosystem.
All right. I think that covers it. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you joining and look forward to speaking again soon.
This concludes Reddit's Q2 2026 earnings call. You may now disconnect.
No. Okay, guys, wait. Let me finish and leave the webcast. Guys, I'm back. I mean, I was never left it, but yeah, man. I mean, the price development after market close is not that nice. With what was it now? minus 13%. But again, it's like I already mentioned in the introduction, and my opinion didn't have changed that. Yeah, maybe today it's not the time to print the money, but at least the money machine is already existing, I mean, it's not nice to say, okay, next call, then there will be a shift and a switch and the price will rise extremely, and then the one afterwards or whatsoever. We all know as loyal Reddit investors that it's sometimes a bit challenging and tricky in terms of the price is developing, but in terms of how the company is developing, so really the fundamentals, the underlying ones, I'm quite satisfied. Yes, but I make a lot of notes. Maybe we start not with the notes I made. Look, you can see here. I hope I can still read the letters, but I would suggest we first start with the Excel sheet, because that is what I regularly do before the webcast in advance. But there was no time anymore today because, the results have been released and announced, and quite a moment later, the webcast already started. But you can see here. So let's start again. As I mentioned, I basically copied and pasted the data in the yellow boxes to my Excel spreadsheet, and we can go through them. And I will leave already a first verdict based on this, and then I will consider as well the information at least I considered during the webcast, which I have next to me. Then I will, of course, focus as well the questions and topics addressed in the chat. Very lovely that people like Thomas, for instance, and others are using it. Feel free to interact with each other as well, or address questions to me. I mean, I'm just a regular investor, but at least I can share my opinion on different topics. And then we will check the first market reactions in terms of price. We already checked a bit, but we'll check later out again. And then, of course, what are first comments at Seeking Alpha, for instance, by the investors? I don't need to check Reddit. Most of the time it's quite positive, the results of the reactions. But yeah, Let's start with the overall numbers, with the superficial numbers, and you can see here that's top growth and bottom line growth, top line growth, bottom line growth, revenue and profit development. And I mean, already they addressed it a few times, and I already shared the screen, but you can see in blue, you can see the forecast, basically the guidance of the market, which was 720 million, and the actual results, which is next to it, yeah. And you can see it here. I already always compare it to 1 year ago, Q1 to Q2, and Q2 in terms of forecast to Q3, and the same I do 1 year later. So that is the reference point I use most of the time. And what I wanted to see is basically, in terms of the actual revenue, something like 800 million. As you see here, the number 799.6 million. Why? That's basically a beat of the forecast from 720 million by roughly 80 million, what was achieved 1 year ago. And you can see it's for sure a beat. It's not a beat by 80 million, but a beat by 85 million. I mean, you can now think maybe, that's not that strong, but you can see it's still 61% year-on-year growth. And I think that is still strong, yeah. I mean, yes, we should not forget, you can see here revenue development of the past quarter, and you can see here as well, year-on-year development past quarter was 69%, and now it's only 61%. So no doubt about this, that is quite a strong drop, yeah, by 8%. I think that is already, when we start talking about flaws, about the earnings and why after closing the market, the price is down, might be already one reason. Again, I think the year-on-year growth development past quarter way stronger and surprisingly strong. It's not like this quarter it's weak with 61%, really not, I think, for the valuation of this company. But yeah, expectations are high, and if you experience as an investor and as an analyst 69% past quarter year-on-year growth, that's a different story. However, based on my metrics, it's still a beat. Yeah, it's still a beat. I already had high expectations again with 85 million beat, and was with 80 million beat, and was 85 million beat. Therefore, for me, that's positive. And then I consider as well, in terms of the valuation and leaving a rating, I consider as well the forecast. And forecast is, I think, in my opinion, very, very strong actually. You can see forecast quarter on quarter 1 year ago was up 120 million, and now it's 145 million. I wanted to see at least this again 120 million, which means a forecast for next quarter revenue of 840 million, but it's 865 million. So from my perspective, that's a beat, that's a nice development. The absolute numbers growing, that's strong, and that's not you can't take it for granted, let's say it like this. It's not typical and all the time at every company, at every quarter, the case for sure, not even at high growth companies. So I like that very much. And you can see again, revenue is a beat, could be a stronger beat, but again, 61% year-on-year growth. I think there have been doubts 1 year ago, for instance, about the revenue development for Reddit or before the IPO, and that's getting shredded by this kind of stuff. That's the truth. And forecast is still looking very, very promising. You can see forecast is already 60% year-on-year growth. So very lovely. From my perspective, revenue, I will leave positive rating. Yeah, I think everything else would not be on point actually, especially considering the forecast, considering the future a bit heavier than the present. Present's already very, well, let's say solid to positive, but forecast I think is very promising. And now we take a look on the profit side of life. And here it's basically the same what I did. You can see that, let me check if you can see it. Yeah, it looks good. You can see past quarter, past year, 1 year ago, Q2, forecast was 19 US dollar cents. They achieved 45 US dollar cents, a beat of 26 US dollar cents. And I want to see as well, again, the 26 US dollar cents as a beat based on the forecast. And that would be 1.23 US dollars, but it's actually 1.25 US dollars, and you can see a beat by 0.28 US dollars cents, or US dollars, yeah, 0.28 US dollars, and that's again a beat. It's not a crazy strong beat, but you can see it's almost a $0.25 more than 1 quarter ago. It's a strong development. Yes, I mean, on the absolute number, take a look 1 year ago, it developed by 32 US dollar cents, yeah? And not only by 24 US dollar cents. It's a bit weaker, but it's again ahead of expectations, ahead of the forecast for sure. I think it's solid. I think it's solid, and I want to see 123, and I see it, and it is a beat. I already talked a moment about leaving a neutral rating, and I always try to be very strict, and I think I'm still very strict if I leave a positive rating. Again, it's not the most positive one. The revenue is a bit more attractive and appealing than the profit one, because again, the beat is a bit small, and 1 year ago, absolute development Q1 to Q2 was stronger. But yeah, on the absolute scale, let's say it like this, 125 US dollar cents is solid. And now we dig a bit deeper into the details. Don't get afraid and concerned when you see this big table of numbers. It looks like many numbers. It is many numbers, but we don't need to consider all of them. And I think we can go through it quite quickly. Quite quickly. Whatever quite means. Revenue development we already covered. Then we check out what is going on with US revenue. And you can see here, that's the next floor. Absolute number 638 million. Whatever you want to work with the numbers. But what I always do is, you can see it here, I always compare past quarter year-on-year growth to this quarter year-on-year growth. Yeah, you can see it here. I already showed it to you when talking about the global revenue. Why I'm doing this, I'm basically removing by this approach the seasonality. So sometimes whatever, winter season, most of the times with Christmas and all these feast days, is in terms of advertising very likely stronger than summer, for instance. Yeah, so I always consider just quarter on quarter in terms of year-on-year development. Yeah, so this means Q1 2025 to Q1 2026, and the same here, Q2 2025 to Q2 2026. And you can see that is US growth, yeah, and this other one is international growth. And you can clearly see US growth is going down very strongly, yeah. And this global -8%, but it is all affected by the US growth, and I think that is another flaw. Yeah. So again, global growth not growing that nice, but more stronger floor. I think deeper cut is really the revenue growth development in the US. I think there is a reason, and we will check this out in a moment. But I think that is definitely a flaw. And when I need to leave here a rating for this detail, that's for me negative, because the drop is just too heavy from one quarter to another. Year-on-year growth development 67. Yes, past quarter was strong, but 11% down is too strong from my perspective. Yeah, I mean, there's always a natural ceiling. Yeah, but the drop is simply too strong. However, when we check out international revenue development, it's the growth is ramping up. It's accelerating, yeah, from 76% to 84%. That is lovely. And I mean, yes, US is important. US has spending power. US are very strong consumers, yeah, no doubt about it. So US citizens are very valuable users, yeah, for companies like Reddit who are active in the advertising space. More valuable than German users, for instance, where I'm located at. However, I like this very much, yeah, and I think in Indonesia, for instance, now it's Reddit is allowed again. It wasn't allowed; it was ruled and somehow restricted. I think that has been stopped. So people from over there are flooding now and adding to these numbers, and I like this. 83% or 84% international revenue growth year-on-year strong. Okay, let's go deeper and check out what is going on with advertising revenue and other revenue. And Thomas Shaw, you mentioned in the chat, the Google contract is delayed, and that's basically all Reddit has is contracts to sell user data. Hardly anyone uses Reddit ads, and I mean, it's not my my task to judge about who is using it or not. I can just screen the numbers and rely on them. And I don't think the numbers are, again, painting this picture, yeah? Advertising revenue, you can see, yes, here again, there's a quite heavy drop. But again, from the past quarter with 74% was crazy strong, yeah? It might be another flaw, yeah? It's not like perfectly in shape. I would love that the drop is not going that strongly down, or it's not that intense with minus roughly 10%. But again, past quarter year-on-year growth 74% to now 64%. I think we're talking still on a very strong scale. However, the quarter-on-quarter year-on-year growth development is not perfectly in shape. However, for me, it feels like it's the advertisement revenue is vital. It's healthy. It's working fine. You can see how much quarter-on-quarter development, for instance, on the absolute number, that doesn't look like that business or whatsoever, or nobody is using the ads. I mean, maybe the users are not clicking that much. I was never a person. I mean, I'm not a regular social media user that heavily. But if I would be, I'm likely not the person who clicks on all the banners and advertisement space. But I guess there are some, and it's not just about clicking, it's about as well getting indirectly recognizing companies. Yeah, you see the McDonald's logo or whatsoever, and based on this, the reputation in your mind somehow back in your mind is growing. You know, you get awareness about McDonald's as a user, and if you see it many times in the background somewhere, the signs or whatsoever, maybe then sooner or later, if you're hungry, you decide to buy McDonald's. So you don't need to click on this kind of stuff or whatsoever. So it really depends what the companies who are using the advertisement space on Reddit, what they are expecting, you know, and this might be as well some target. Then you have other revenue, which is primarily data licensing, and yeah, it's growing. I mean, at least here the example is positive. I mean, past quarter grow by 14%, now by 24%. So just based on this number, other revenues developing solid. Yeah, for sure not negative, I would say. But you can see advertisement revenue share with roughly 95%, for sure the big piece of cake. And now we're talking, or we dig deeper into the user structure, and that's like a funnel, you know. You have here the weekly active uniques. UQ stands for uniques, not users. Yeah. So you have the weekly ones, and then if everything goes well for Reddit, you transfer them to locked out daily ones, so they're getting more active, yeah, more valuable users. And then the high value users, high end value users with highest retention and loyalty and all this kind of stuff, is likely the locked in daily active unique user whatsoever. And so let's check out what is going on. And you can see already on the top number, even if I don't give a rating for it, but you can see it's accelerating. Past quarter, roughly 23%, now 24%. It's not strongly accelerating, but it is accelerating. Let's see what is going on with US and international. And we have US, you can see here, 10%. That doesn't seem strong, and now it's 9%, so it's getting weaker. Not heavily crazy weaker, but it's getting weaker. And how much are these? 100, roughly 200 million. Is it correct? Yes, 200 million. I mean, it's just natural that they, again, reach on a certain level the ceiling. Yeah. If the drop from 10 to 9% year-on-year growth would be stronger, I would not leave a neutral rating, but I think that's fair here. And then we have the international weekly active unique user growth. Yeah. And it's accelerating, and that's the reason why the overall number obviously is accelerating. Past quarter 33% and now 35%, and I think that is strong. Yeah, I think that is strong. I like diversification. I like to be invested in Reddit because it's not just focused and only strong in the US. It is getting stronger in internationally, and honestly, guys, very strongly. I mean, yes, user revenue and national revenue is still there's a big gap between those two numbers. But when you check out the users, we're talking about a different story, and it's just about monetizing those users. Again, spending power and willingness of consumption is stronger in the US. I mean, it's the heart of consume. Is it consume the right? Capitalism. Yeah, let's say it like this. Yeah, US is the heart of capitalism. So you will never likely will get the revenue per user in again Germany, for instance, like in the US. But you can see on the user base, international is really not catching up, but really overtaking and accelerating, and that is for sure a positive rating. That's nice to see. Yeah, because again, yes, Reddit grew primarily on US soil, on US ground, and US users, but now it's developing further, and it needs the new soil, new ground, yeah, the space in other countries and other continents, and I think they somehow make it happen, and that's lovely. That's nice to see that not only US users like using Reddit, but as well international ones too. Now we check out what is going on with the locked out daily ones, and you can see it's basically same story. 26% year-on-year growth past quarter, now 27%. I think that's both very solid actually. But let's check out what is going on with US and international, and we have it here, and you can see it again. I checked the relative numbers. The story here is a little bit more intense because it's not just going down 1% like with the weekly ones, but it's going down by 2%. However, US is decreasing. Yeah, the absolute number is still growing stronger, and internationally even more intense. Not just 2%, but 4%. 4% is correct. 3%. The international growth is taking place in terms of daily locked out uniques. So I think the US, again, it's not nice that's decreasing, but it's very natural. They are talking about, or we are talking about really high level with, what is it, 300 million? Is 300? No, it's not correct. 30 million, 30 million, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. However, it is a very solid number already, I think. Even though they talked in the webcast about it, and I wasn't convinced by the answer of Steve, of the CEO. However, it is how it is. Let's check out what international, and again here we have, it's pretty much the same like with the weekly ones. This is really backing it up, the numbers, and making sure that still the overall number is developing quite strongly, and the growth is accelerating. So I have no other choice to leave here a positive one. And now we talk really about the high value number, or the high value user, the logged in daily active unique. And keep in mind, they mentioned from next quarter on, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, and there was no misunderstanding, I think they will not report anymore in this logged in data or logged out data, you know. And I like it pretty much. Somehow I like it, somehow not. I mean, they try to hide something maybe. On the other hand, yeah, maybe Reddit has some kind of an issue with greatest kind of retention on the level of logged in daily active users and uniques, but it's really somehow destroying always the experience when you check out their earnings results. I mean, their earnings results so far have been always quite positive, amazing actually, since I'm at least invested. However, when you screen more detailed the logged in number, that is not that convincing. Now let's check out what is going on here, and I mean, it's basically the same story, and that's another way stronger flaw, I think, when then talking about the US development in terms of weekly or daily logged out users. I think the logged in daily active unique number is just not nice. Yeah, I mean, you can see past quarter it's 6.8% up, and now it's 6.7% up year on year, so it's getting down. And here you could say, okay, well, just 1.1%, but I think the absolute number with less than 7% is just not high. Yeah. And that's the same what you can see here with the US. It seems like it's somehow saturated. They have the users they have, which are very, very loyal, very, very active, and you need to log in to add value to it, to write some posts or respond and leave some comments and whatsoever. So, I mean, when you call Reddit the heart of human interaction in the 21st century, then it's important that humans interact with each other. So it's very important people log in and can leave posts on Reddit, That's the only way. And if US members just growing by 0.9% year on year, not that nice. Yeah, I mean, you could say still grow, but I don't like it. But let's check out what is with international, and here it's the same page, 12.1% past quarter and now 11.7%, so it's getting down, and I would love to see it's getting up, and that's not the case. And so again, very easy decision to leave a negative one. Sorry, I almost did a mistake. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. I understand that they're not reporting in this direction anymore, because those numbers are most of the time okay. I mean, yes, USA is not that heavily convincing, but this locked in daily active uniques, that is not appealing for sure. Okay, guys, let's go on with all the stuff. And now we check out what is the logged in daily active uniques share, from considering all daily active uniques. So basically you can see it's the logged in and logged out. And of course we want to see that the rate is quite high. That's the share is quite high. It is high somehow, but it could be higher, and it's getting down actually, Obviously, if they're getting a lot of more people who just reading because they are not logged in users, no matter if we talk about weekly or daily ones. And on the other hand, the logged in volume is not growing that strongly on this level. It's just reasonable that this ratio is getting down. I don't like it. It's even accelerating this shrinkage from 4 to minus 4.3%. That's not nice, that's negative. Yeah, and I can already tell you that so much neutral and negative rating I never left so far for Reddit. Since I'm an investor and since I cover them live here at the Essence of Capital YouTube channel. So far so mixed, so okay, but there are some flaws. And now we talk about the average revenue per unique or per user. And you can see past quarter, I mean, that was very strong. 44% year-on-year growth. Just the revenue, the average revenue per user, per active user. And I don't think it's low with 36%, but drop, it's not convincing. And you can see where is it located. And this time, it's not the US. Yes, US went down as well, but from 54 to 51% year-on-year growth. But that's not an issue. 50%, still 50%. Nothing you can complain about, I would say. Wait, let me check one more time. I will share this. I will just want to make sure that I'm not using the wrong number. 2.26 US dollars. Yeah, it's correct. Here you can see it. The average revenue. Okay, let's go back. And here we got it. And but let's start with the average revenue per US, and I already showed you just down by 3%, and I think that's fine. I mean, $12 per user in the quarter, I think it's for sure not bad, especially when you consider there's still some kind of growth going on. And so I think keeping this level is actually positive. Yeah, the growth is getting down a bit, but it's still above 50%. I think that's very strong. But again, here, international, and so far developed very strongly, but I don't like that it's going down from 51%, which is lower already than the US development past quarter to now 31%. I think that's a big flaw. So somehow how they do, or how much money they make per user, yeah, might be the case how strongly advertisers or potential advertisers ordering or advertisement space on Reddit might be one reason, but the other reason might be as well how users are getting attracted by the advertisement and the banners and this kind of stuff, the pop-ups and something like this. And whatever the reason is, or if it's a blend out of it, it's not nice. Yeah. So yes, it's not even all-time high. It was in Q4 higher, but again, Q4 is seasonal wise with winter and feast days very strong, and Black Friday and this kind of stuff. However, that's weak from my perspective. Yeah, that's weak. Okay, let's go on, and now we check a bit more the profit side, and we start with gross margin. And you can see it's for sure not the all-time high because it was already a few times higher, but it's still very strong with 91.3%. That's a very efficient business. I mean, past quarter went up by 1%. Now it went up by 0.5%. It's a bit lower than past quarter, a bit lower than the quarter before, but it was already way lower in the quarters before and was already a bit higher. Yeah, as you can see here, Q4 2024. However, I would say, I mean, it is a very high level. And honestly, I can't leave a negative rating here, not even a neutral one. And they are above 90%, and even if they would be under 90%, however, but it's above 90%, it's impressive. Show me other companies which walking around with this kind of performances, and you won't be able to name that much. Okay, now we check out what is going on with the expenditure level, with the costs, and we start with research and development expenses, always a share of revenue, and you can see past quarter it went already down minus 18%, and now it went down by 11%. It's by far the lowest. You can see it was above 40% in 2024, then it went to 30 to 20% past year, and now it's really below 29%. I like it very much. I mean, drop can't be lower, but still quite nice. I like it, and I give it a green rating. Then we have sales and marketing expense. Analysts ask, hey, you have so strong ROI, return on investment. Why not using the cash flow and the money and the balance sheet for acquiring more users, doing promotion whatsoever? And they already mentioned they're doing it and spending more on sales and marketing. And that is what you can see here. You can see it's accelerating based on the revenue. Past quarter went down by 0.3%. Now it went up by 0.2%. Not crazy. But again, consider revenues growing as well. So past quarter, I just checked the number here. It was roughly 151 million US dollars. And now it's roughly 196 million US dollars. So it's for sure growth. And it doesn't look that strongly because, again, revenue is growing on the other hand quite strongly simultaneously. However, it's increasing. It might be a good investment, but I would love it's getting lower, and therefore leave negative rating. And now we have general administrative expenses or expenditure. You see, past quarter went down by 8%. Now it went down by 4%. Not that strongly, but it is. You can see it is an all-time low, and 9.4% doesn't feel too weak, guys. For sure not. Here I can leave again a positive rating, so I think expenses level is neutral to positive. Social sales and marketing, you can see a bit like an investment, even though obviously it's not based on regular standards. It's not an investment bucket, yeah, I would say. But you can see as well how efficient they are with their G&A and this kind of stuff. When we check out the earnings results, and I already shared this slide, and you can see here how efficient they are in the stuff. Reddit is scaling efficiently and crossed the $1 million US revenue per head milestone. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you're working in the economy and what kind of company you're working for, but maybe if you know the staff count, the full-time entities, FTEs, how many are active for the company, and check out what kind of revenue they are achieving. Maybe you have even expenses, but check it out how it looks. And 1 million per user is per employee is. I think that's impressive, and it's growing. So this company, this business is efficient for sure, without any doubt. And I love to see this kind of stuff. Even though this information is not that new. Now let's check out what is going on with net income margin and free cash flow margin. And you can see 31.4%. Past quarter it went up by 24% roughly, now by 13%. It is, it's almost the strongest. Q4 2025 was stronger, but it is quite strong. I think the growth could be stronger, honestly. Yeah, but it's not a bad free cash net income margin, so I rate it neutral. With kind of a negative touch, but I think neutral is fair in this regard. And now free cash flow margin. And we have here 1 percentage point more, 32.4%. You can see past quarter it went up by roughly 15% and now by 10%. So the growth is deaccelerating a bit. And here you can see past quarter free cash flow margin was way stronger, and it was already stronger the quarter before. And yeah, it's not that weak. It's way stronger than 1 year ago, but could be stronger. I don't exactly understand the drop, but it might be as well a seasonal thing, because you can see 1 year ago from Q1 to Q2 it dropped as well by 10%. Now it dropped even by 14%. But year on year it's up. I gave it neutral rating. It might be a flaw, and maybe I should leave a negative rating. I mean, it's not the most essential KPI. Come on, I leave negative rating. I think free cash flow margin of 32% is actually not that bad. But again, the drop is too heavy for me. Neutral. Come on, neutral. It's still the strongest second quarter, let's say it like this. It's okay, I think. It's okay. And now we check out what is going on with the shareholder valuation in terms of stock-based compensation share of revenue. I already shared this as well during the webcast, but you can see it went down past quarter by 12% and now it went down by 5%. I think the CFO mentioned that they're feeling quite comfortable with the low teens number, like now 12.5%. You can see it's up from the quarter before. That is another flaw. Honestly, I don't want to see it's going up. That's a simple answer for me. I don't want to see at all that this going up. I think nowadays, and especially when interest rates are growing, you want to see that the company is profitable. In terms of Reddit, is clearly the case. And there's cash flow and this kind of stuff. But however, I think investors are more than ever sensitive about stock-based compensation and how strong they dilute the shares of the investors. And I think the number must kept down somehow, and I don't want to see it going up again. So that's unfortunate, that's negative. That's kind of a flaw, I think. Yeah, another one. So it's not everything perfect here in this wonderland. Yeah. So I mean, to cover this, we covered it in a moment. Now last number, and that is, okay, repurchase program was of 1 billion past quarter, and I think they purchased actually some shares back, so that's not a problem. But again, the adjusted EBITDA outlook, and here I want to see 360 million. Why 360 million? That's basically, you can see the development Q2 to Q3 was 70 million. So I want to see as well from Q2 to Q3 70 million development, which would be $360 million in adjusted EBITDA, and they dropped 390 million. I love this. And that's a simple thing, simple call, positive one. yeah, now we have it. I mean, this page is done, and now we come to this verdict before we cover the comments of the webcast. I need to accelerate a bit. It's getting later and later, guys. I'm not even sure if still someone watching. If you're watching, please feel free to say hello, ask questions, leave some comment, your opinion whatsoever in the chat function. Would be very happy. It's quite late in Germany. It's 10 past 12 in the night, you know. So, yeah, give me some energy, boys and girls. However, coming to the verdict so far, based on the Excel spreadsheet, you see top line growth, actual revenue results are very solid. Could be stronger, but I'm very happy with it with 61%. But the forecast seems very strong, I think, with 60%. I think that's even stronger forecast than past quarter. So, and profit is solid. Could be more positive, but is solid. So those are the top numbers. They're not really company specific ones, or industry specific ones, just the regular revenue and profit numbers. However, that looks positive. That's for sure a good start, yeah. And then you see US revenue really dropped too heavily. On the other hand, international revenues developing strongly, and so that's neutral somehow. We have advertisement revenue, which could grow stronger, but with 64%, it's still growing strong, I think. However, I left it neutral. It's okay. And what is going on with data licensing? We will talk about this in a moment. But yeah, at least this quarter, it had some the positive development going on. So yeah, whatever. That's okay. And then we have this user funnel. And again, weekly, I think it's very solid, especially US, especially internationally. Locked out daily ones, very solid, especially internationally. Will even a little bit more solid and stable. But then we have again always the same source of headache, and that are the locked in daily active uniques. And no matter if we consider US or international or the absolute number of 7%, roughly 7% year-on-year growth, that's just very weak. Yeah, so I mean, yeah. The overall user thing is neutral to negative, and that is not positive, obviously. Yeah, that could be far better. Same with, of course, locked in share. Yeah. And the revenue, I think past quarter was still quite strong, and it's still developing very strong in US. I have no clue why the year-on-year development with 31% in internationally was that low somehow. Yeah. Not sure if there was a one-time effect or whatsoever. But that's, I think, as well the first time I just would leave here on this category neutral rating. And yeah, man, gross margin, it's decreasing a bit, but still stable. Yeah, the expenses seem solid. I like that they're doing more promotion, but obviously just based on the number, it's not convincing. Yeah, the margins are high as always. Free cash flow margin is a bit lacking, but okay. Stock-based compensation is something what is always for me very important as an investor. I don't like it because I was in the past invested in companies which basically following a path of very strong dilution of the own investors and shareholders. And I don't like this, actually. It's giving me bad feelings. And yeah, we are here talking about the low T number in a quite early stage of a company which had IPO 2 years ago or something like this. So 12.5% is not that bad, but it's somehow increasing and I don't like it. However, all of this together is, yeah, you can tell it to me, but I would say I would love that this is growing. That's a very important number. I think this looked in daily active uniques because again they create the content, and if that's negative, I don't like. So that's a heavy negative from my perspective. I don't know what is going on with RPU and internationally. US somehow seems solid, but not sure what's. So it's quite another heavily negative. And stock-based compensation, I don't like it's increasing again. But other numbers are stable and solid as well, you know. So international user growth seems solid and revenue growth seems solid overall. Could be worse. Life could be worse, you know. I think it's neutral. Neutral is fair. Neutral is with a negative touch. And then we have the outlook, and again, that's straight positive because it crushed my expectations with adjusted EBITDA of 390 million. So I think 400 million is not unrealistic for sure. And I just expected 360 million, so beat by roughly 10% of my expectation. So we have very solid positive. In terms of the superficial numbers, we have in the industry and Reddit specific numbers a neutral to negative, even though top and bottom line is a bit more important for me. But these numbers must be in line. They need to create this kind of conviction to really catch up all the investors and analysts, not just the part of it. And then we have outlook, which is positive, yeah. So we have this kind of stuff here in, I'd say, what should we say? Like neutral level is fine, I think. I think neutral level is fine. And then we have here positive. And I would really say the results could come out way more worse from my perspective. Again, I'm private investor, amateur, not professional. Make your own decisions. Really, really, guys, please, important. Yeah, it's pain. I know it's pain sometimes, but try to enjoy it somehow, whatever, and do what you can do. Some of you will be better than me, some will be not as good, whatever, but important that you make your own decisions with your own money, Yeah, but it's still for me, hey, this locked-in number is never positive. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but complaining on a high level, I'm not considering even the valuation of this company. I'm just only focusing those results, and there are flaws for sure, but I'm not sure what is the stock price currently. Let's check it out. If it's live, but for me it's not like low teens, like 11 minus 11 negative, for sure not. My perspective, yeah. And I would not be surprised if it bounced somehow in the next days, yeah. You never know what is nowadays going on with the markets, and maybe the market is right, the market never, talk bad about the market. Let's say like this, it's the truth at the end, Yeah, but I would leave, I think, positive rating. Come on, guys, positive rating. I think really they need to somehow work on this number. That's for me somehow really important. I think it's very important that they create this deep, high loyal user retention and somehow create appeal that those users who log in leave comments and posts. I think that's really important that they interact with each other. It's really, really, really important. And somehow they don't make it happen. But man, that's important. And I mean, yes, of course, if the overall user number growth and this number still is growing, yeah, we don't need to be afraid that somehow in 5 years nobody is using it anymore and no new content occurs on Reddit. That's by far not the reality. But I think this interaction looked like international interaction, but as well Indian people with Indian people and German people with German people and US people with US people and Indonesian people with Indonesian people and African people, or let's say whatever, people from Namibia with Namibia. You know what I'm talking about, And of course as well, let's say Chile people from Chile, So it's important that this interaction is taking place. And yeah, so it's an important number and I want to see it, but still I like the results. There are really some flaws. It's not like flawless, for sure not. Past quarter and the quarter before, from my perspective, was better than this now, but it is strong, man. I think, look, zoom back or travel back 2 years ago to the point in time of the IPO of this company, yeah? There have been so many doubts about Reddit and about monetization of this business. And look now at these results and what kind of numbers they're pushing. And yeah, there's always this data licensing, and I understand it completely. But even without data licensing, yeah, and just being Reddit as a platform for interaction and using the user base for advertisement, yeah, advertisement revenue, here you have it, like year-on-year growth, it's 64%. Come on, boys, really. Then just considering advertisement revenue, no, leaving out the year-on-year development of data licensing revenue, it would have 64 year-on-year growth, not just 61%. Yeah, so just on the relative base, obviously absolute number would be lower, but the relative base would look actually stronger. However, guys, now I'm not sure what is going on here. My tool for doing the live stream is telling me that it has some issues with the chat, but I can see that Ibrahim, you mentioned, is it good price to buy now based on the results? Ushin Kada, right? Yo. So yo back. And user, let me check if the stream's still working. Maybe I should check this, then I can go on. Give me a moment, please, guys. Will take too much time. Yeah, looks good, I think. And user WQ3MW8JG1P. Awesome analyzers, thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome and appreciate this feedback. If you like what you see, of course, you can leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It would make me smile and make me happy. And that's my salary, let's say like this. It would be awesome, guys, for sure. Adityam, you're asking, is it a buy in the chat section? I understand the question. For me, just from my perspective, but again, I'm not an analyst or whatsoever, but my perspective, it is a buy, and you can see that I'm with 371 shares. Yeah, I'm quite heavily, when we talk about skin in the game, with skin in the game, you know. So obviously I lost today. I'm not sure how much it was. I think for sure more than something like $65,000 or something like this today. Now I'm down, obviously $6,000, $7,000, something like this. Yeah, but I think it's a buy. From my perspective, it's a buy. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a very unique business, very efficient business, a very unique platform, a very unique position in the nowadays world. And I mean, yes, you never know what will be the future, and you know, and it's not on the scale, on this level like Instagram or like Facebook, like WhatsApp. It's not on the scale, but or WeChat or whatsoever, for sure not. But or it is maybe like WeChat, who knows, from China. However, but yeah, I think valuation is fair, and the details and the parameters of their performances is very special and very strong. Very capex low business. You know, on one hand, people complaining, oh, Amazon, the hyperscalers, and Microsoft, and Meta, and Google, Alphabet, oh, so capex heavy, so much spending into semiconductors and GPUs and whatever, you know. And then you have something like Reddit, which is really capex low, yeah, capital expenses, so investment in hardware, for instance, very low, yeah, and developing very fine. And then people still complaining about, oh, okay, but data licensing, man, it's a bonus for me, it's a cherry on the cake, you know. From my investment thesis, and that's the reason why I'm invest, I don't need data licensing. Yeah. Let's see what will happen, what will come out of this. Sometimes I think about, okay, if this AI development would not taking place and it would not receive this high focus, this potential business case in terms of AI, I would think Reddit would maybe, the price would develop better because there's not always this doubt and concerns in terms of, okay, can they make good contracts and somehow monetize their human traffic on their website for the AI companies. Who knows? But that's the answer. on your question, but Kollega Adit, I for swing trade don't know really. Never did swing trading. That's not my piece of cake. That's your space. Let's say like this. Ranji, you're very welcome, man. Appreciate for your feedback, man. Lovely, and yeah, sleep well as well. Good night, gute Nacht, man. Schlaf schön. Okay, guys, and now let's go on. And what I will do now is I will quickly go to the notes. I will try to keep it as quick as possible. It doesn't change things that heavily because there was positive stuff and negative stuff, but it's at least my summary and the notes I did, and it's a little bit unstructured, so I just go through it and you can do whatever you like with it. And afterwards I will check what is the comments on Seeking Alpha. We check one more time the price, and then everything is fine, I think. Then we are done. Okay, but so far so good. Let's start. I mean, they mentioned at the beginning of the earnings of the webcast that wait, let me do this. We go on the website. Otherwise, I see myself all the time, and I don't like this. Not that I feel that I'm that ugly or beautiful whatsoever. Just somehow impacts me. However, they mentioned that the conversation rate increased year on year by 100% and click volume by 300%. I honestly don't know what this means exactly. I mean, what kind of users, what kind of conversion? I assume conversion in terms of users, and I assume click volume in terms of, how the advertisement, the banners, and the space getting utilized. But you can see here, it seems like they come from a quite low level with 100 and 300% growth. But you can see here as well the potential. That's important. You can tell, okay, nobody's clicking on advertisement of Reddit and utilizing that as a user. You not, me not, whoever. But you can see still already now they're pushing out some strong numbers in development, and there's still so much room for improvement. If you consider this kind of numbers, I think that's quite impressive. Then they mentioned the active advertisers grew 70% year on year. I think that's impressive as well. No doubt about this, I would say. Wait. And then they mentioned that Reddit Max, which is special, how you can use them, how you can use as a company to order advertisement space. This Reddit Max getting strong adoption, and that's nice to hear, I think, because Reddit Max was not always existing, and that's nice that they develop something. Think about, okay, what our customers likely like to have. They do this Reddit Max, and it's somehow working, And then they mentioned that video views, especially video views, I think as well, they showed this in their slide deck. Let me check this out. Oh shit, I closed it. Now I opened it. Reopened it, make it a bit smaller, and I think they have it here. Investing in video. They mentioned that this video views is getting really strong traction and growth. I mean, don't forget, Reddit is always a bit capex low, because that the big advantage compared to YouTube, for instance, is that uploading videos obviously needs a lot of power. But just doing posts, or here and there's some footage, images whatsoever, it's a different story. And now that video views or investing in video, it's getting more attractive. I like it because I think Reddit needs it. I think Reddit needs this kind of development. But on the other hand, don't forget, it takes more power. Greetings, namaste to India, back at it. I was there 3 months in Pune in 2015, 11 years ago, man. I liked it. It was it was an exotic and very unique experience, but never will forget this, and the joy of the people sometimes, very nice, man. So appreciate your feedback, appreciate the love and the subscription, man. Highly appreciate. However, consider this when we talk about the growth of videos, what have we here? And they provided many more details about how they improving their advertising offerings and how they dressing it. Like they mentioned in some categories, I'm not sure what grocery or whatsoever, they mentioned like 1.5 till 7 times the value for the advertisers than other platforms, other regular platforms in the Western world or whatsoever. So I think it's like Instagram, this kind of stuff. So that's nice to see. So it's somehow adding some value. Maybe for us it's hard to measure, and was never a strong Instagram user. Yes, I have Instagram for this YouTube channel, but that's the only Instagram I have. So feel free to find my Essence of Capital Instagram account and follow it. Not doing way different stuff than YouTube, but you can follow it if you like. I would appreciate it. However, I hear a lot of times that advertisement and promotion is very well addressed on Instagram, and it's really like you know, if you are someone who loves clothes and you see a bag, you know, like a woman is a handbag, you see this, then they put it in like it's spot on the timing when you see it, and you're really it's really simple to catch you and that you click on it. They can do this very well, Meta. And I think this is something very likely Reddit can work on, but somehow I think it's I think it's developing already in the right direction. I will for sure add it. I will for sure. But I'm not sure when is the next time I will be in India. But I will for sure go to Delhi as well. I was at other spaces too, but most of the time in Pune. But was again impressive. Loved it. Very thankful for this experience. Yeah, they mentioned again, so there's definitely some value in terms of that. Okay, and now then the Q&A started. And what's this? No. Yeah. And then I had started to count how many people told at the beginning from the analysts, okay, that was quite impressive quarter. And at the beginning, the first two mentioned it, and then not many anymore mentioned it. You know? So at a certain point, I stopped noting it down, but I think there have been participating more than 10 analysts at the webcasts, and yeah, I think only 2 or 3 maybe left some positive feedback in this regard. I mean, it's not like very unregular that everyone tells, oh, congratulations to the strong results. There are some analysts who just never do this, for instance. Yeah, they just don't want to leave any mark behind them, any valuation already at this point in time, for instance. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, but I hope for more positive feedback, and that was not the case. And then they talked about, for instance, I've not documented everything, but the diversification in terms of who's advertising and how strongly the people are advertising is growing really, really solid. That's nice to see that there's not only one way anymore, how it was maybe 10 years ago. So really getting creative in terms of how advertisers, how companies can utilize their space. And I think that's lovely and important. Then there's something what I think it's somehow positive but still negative, and they even somehow, from my perspective, admitted it. Yeah, and that is that the net user retention. So they mentioned basically it is sometimes hard for Reddit that people understand what Reddit is, what is the value, and it takes more time maybe than other platforms. But if they are loyal and the retention is there, it is there. It's sticky. Yeah. However, they mentioned the retention grew year on year by 50%, which seems quite strong. But they mentioned still there's a lot of room for improvement. And that is something what I mean. They mentioned, for instance, yeah, it might be useful to invest more money into acquiring new customers, but the user retention to achieve a higher level is way more important, and there's still room for improvement. I like that they somehow are very honest about this, but on the other hand, it seems like it's really some kind of low. It sounds like this. Yeah, however. But I think they just see some potential. It might be some kind of misunderstanding. It is not on an absolute number that low, because I used a certain period of time Reddit, and I had to leave because the algorithm was too strong. It took too much time from my life, let's say it like this, which is a good sign as an investor, I would say, in Reddit, that the algorithm is working. And so that is what I want to tell. So for me, it catched me quite strongly. But for me, Reddit is a good fit, I would say. I never was somehow attracted by Facebook or Snapchat or Pinterest or Instagram, but yeah, that catched me. Okay. Then they mentioned, and that was a big topic, data licensing. I mean, that is, I think, the topic everyone was waiting for. And till this point in time, the aftermarket price was down 8%, minus 8%. And like this, it went down 2% more, and then actually 5% more, like 13%. Now it's down, you can see, roughly 11%. But from this point on, it went down in a way more negative direction, and it was a topic which will come to the surface, no question about. I think everyone of top management, of the C-level management, they had to be prepared for this. And maybe the answer, from my perspective, was not on point, because again, this one analyst asked, okay, I see two major flaws why the stock's now dropping, and likely the user development in the US. Why are you confident about 100 million monthly active users or something like this as a target? Where should they come from whatsoever? If I'm not misunderstanding, but I think it was something like this. And the second question was way more heavy. That was, okay, and is there a world for Reddit without data licensing? Yeah, so already some kind of a provoking question, if you want to say it like this, because it contains already, okay, maybe you will fail, and yeah, it's already showing maybe you will fail. Yeah, it's showing already, or it's mentioning already this kind of scenario, and who knows how serious it is. Yeah. And yeah, man, I saw, wait, let me update this one time. Or maybe go to investing.com. I think it's a bit better for me for this purpose. Yeah, so I think from there on it went a bit down, and they ask as well, yeah, I mean, Steve, the CEO, answered, they're working on it with high focus, and they know that the S value of the data, it's very clear, and they want to get the maximum out of it. But what is the value of this as an investor or as an analyst? It's not changing anything. Yeah. And the same with, they ask, okay, is there a timeline whatsoever? And he simply ignored this question. And I think this point is really a critical aspect, because the market, for me, it's cherry on the cake, the data licensing. But obviously for the analysts out there, it's essential. Yeah. It's a big piece of the puzzle, a big piece of the story. And that is what you need to respect as an investor, what I need to respect. And honestly, guys, then someone need to tickle this box and need to achieve good results with Alphabet and whoever. I think for them, it's not an option to say, okay, we get the same revenue like last year or even less, or whatever this kind of deals are, what they contain. Hard to say, really hard to say what is going on behind closed doors. But I think the pressure is for sure there on the topic, and just to say, yeah, we're trying our best to get the max out of it, and we're not answering on the timeline. Look, I like the CEO and the co-founder of Reddit, Spaz, or Steve, however you want to call it. His Reddit name is Spaz. But and it's hard for me to judge about it, but he's always seeming like really this person who's quite human, you know. It's a CEO who's very human. He's more like the good cop and not the bad cop CEO who's just strict about numbers and all of this. Sometimes he's even getting active in Reddit, you know, and answering questions and here and there whatsoever, you know. He's not like this CEO top management person who was hired just to make the numbers better and make the company more efficient and fire some staff members and whatever, you know. That's not the job of Steve. And I think he's doing well, but yeah, sometimes in this regard, when talking about this kind of questions, it can be tricky, you know, it can be very tricky for him. Did you ask question, what website are you using? Okay, investing. Can you check RDGT company? I'm stuck at trade booked 1 for $9,000. There was news, it dropped suddenly, it was doing swing. Kollega, GT. I open it, but I have no clue, man, really, I can tell you. It's quite, I don't want to be, I don't know rich tech at all, Kollega, really. And it's quite late, I don't think it's a good, sorry, man, I cross my fingers, really, that I can't help you. Sorry, man. I cross my fingers. It's going well for you somehow, and it will be a successful swing trade whatsoever. But I have no clue about swing trades. I'm not short-term investor. I'm actually quite long-term investor, and I don't have a clue about this company. And again, it's quite late in Germany. I would love to support you somehow, but I think I can't, unfortunately. But however, I thank you very much for understanding it. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. So data licensing in this question really pushed this stock down again 5%, even if it's recovered already by 2%. And for me, it's way too essential, but maybe they are right because analysts give the price of this potential and they somehow need to dig it. What I have here, many. Then they asked, okay, what's going on again with return on investment, how they use their money, and they mentioned, hey guys, you can see sales and marketing is increasing, or we're really investing heavily in machine learning, for instance, that the search results are better. And they mentioned as well, maybe in the future in the search results you can see some images of advertising, some goods or whatsoever. So they're really working on it. And I think that was quite a satisfying answer on it. And they mentioned as well, someone asked what's going with SMB, so small, medium businesses. And they told that, yeah, partnership, for instance, with Shopify is going very well and it helps somehow with small, medium businesses. But still the way how they onboard the small, medium businesses, it's not working that well, I assume, how they introduce the SMBs to the toolkit to order advertisement space and this kind of stuff. So they must work on it. And yes, they show in this case, in this regard, weakness, but on the other hand, they are honest, transparent. That is how I think Reddit in general is getting run as a company. And I think that's okay. It is how it is. And that shows again there's room for improvement, and that is nice to see. Yeah? Even though I think results are already very positive. Okay, what we have as well here. Oh, it's not much anymore. Yeah, I already mentioned everything, I would say. I think really when we talk about the Q&A session and from the earnings call of the webcast, I really think it was not that positive. Let's say it like this. Because again, it was so clear the question will rise in terms of data licensing, and maybe my ears are not working well and sometimes there's some language issue or whatsoever. But I didn't make notes which are heavily supportive in this regard. Again, like what is the current status, what is the outcome, who might be specifically the companies next to Anthropic, to OpenAI, and to Alphabet, who might be customers of data licensing, and what's the value in terms of numbers, specific quantitative information, guys. What is the deadline? What was the timeline in terms of this? No information about this, I mean, it's not that heavily surprising, but it doesn't help the situation, let's say like this. And Yeah, and sometimes in this scenario, I would love to get more information as an investor, and I think analysts as well. But obviously, if there is no information, or they don't want to share it, or it might be not good information, who knows? I mean, no information, sometimes the result of it, you interpret it as negative information. So, not sure if it's good to give no information or just very soft information. But on the other hand, it showed a lot of improvement, like this year-on-year net user retention development, this conversion and click volume development, and that this video views is getting up very heavily, and how customers using the advertisement space, in which directions. It shows some weaknesses for sure, and it was not addressing perfectly the question in terms of data licensing, but it shows as well some improvements, some potential for it, and still numbers speak the truth, and they are good. I prefer having good numbers than having and not the best call than having bad numbers and a good call. Nice if people can talk very good and always give you the best stuff. But if the numbers are not in good shape, what is it worth, Maybe there's some EV company, some car company, automotive company, quite famous one, with the CEO and co-founder, you very likely know who's a perfect example for the opposite experience. At least from my opinion, Just from my opinion. Edit team, what's your name? Aditya Amityo Noida. Oh man, sorry, your name is complicated. Very sorry, man. Love Jane was there in Berlin last year. Always thanks, appreciate. 4:13 a.m. in Delhi. Oh shit, yeah, that's for you even more special time. Also bought $4K on Reddit right now. Oh yeah. I hope I'm not the reason, but Reddit is the reason. Yeah, really. Again, don't blame me if it goes wrong. I mean, of course, come back to me and tell Julian you're the best if you win money, but not in the opposite direction. Aditya Mittal. Okay, that makes it more simple. Julian, appreciate. Nice to meet you, man. Are you on Discord? Yeah, but not really often, and it's not really worth it, let's say it like this, to reach out to me in this regard. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that is the reason. That is nice to hear. That is the answer, Aditya. I like to hear. And now, last step. I mean, but it's too late. It's really too late. I feel how my energy level is going down. Regularly, we could go through the presentation slide deck, but it's not that much. Beside the numbers, you can see it's 2 slides, and you can check it out by yourself. But what I want to check out now, before leaving you guys, is first market reactions on Seeking Alpha. I'm here a regular user paying my fee per month, per year, and I strongly recommend you to be user as well. I get a lot of information out of it, and we can see here we have 2 posts. One time the results, and one time restaurant fails to lift shares, AI search concerns linger. Yeah, that's the data licensing stuff. Yeah, damn. But let's check out how the market reacts. We have 24 comments. We can go through it right now. Again, we could use Reddit as well. On Reddit, look, we can check out Reddit quickly. When you go Reddit, and now we go Reddit stock. I'm quite confident that wait, relevance, hot. Shit, wait, new. Damn. Okay, I'm too dumb to. Here, we have it here. Past hour. I'm quite sure on Reddit itself. I mean, if you're an investor, I can recommend you to use Reddit as well. No matter if it's you, Aditya, or someone else. I like it for this kind of reasons. But you can see here a lot of posts going on in terms of Reddit market reactions. Like panic over US daily active uniques, a misguided closer look. Not sure what is stated here. Check it out by yourself if you like. But there's a lot of other reactions. But I only want to check out now the reactions of Seeking Alpha. And you can see here, the first one writes with 8 likes, how is this thing selling off? Are you kidding me? Question. And then other ones writes, it will go up before day end. If not, then tomorrow. Then here, Beanut's writing and Stonks as well, daily active uniques. The same topic what was addressed a moment ago here on the Reddit post. Yeah, and US daily uniques slightly down sequentially. Is it down? Let me check. Let me check what is going on here. Daily uniques. Yeah, it is actually. Quarter and quarter is down. But that was 1 year ago, the same thing in terms of logged in ones. You can see here. 1 million down, same like this year. Different here, it went up and here it's still down. Yeah, might be that people are getting concerned, yeah. I understand it, but again, I think it's not just all about US, and it's just very reasonable that some kind of satiation is going on. Aditya, you write, followed you on Instagram. Meanwhile, I own a travel company, the Travel Freaker. Would love to help you too if you need any help in hotels and flight. Appreciate it very much, colleague. Really, really appreciate it. We'll check this out tomorrow, not today. And I would highly appreciate if you join again and we have another chat in the future in the live streams. That's always fun, I must say. That's lovely. And yeah, have a great night. Sleep well. Yeah, colleague. Okay, let's go on. So far so good, but daily active uniques in the US might be trouble, yeah? That is the feedback so far. Then FL Mike writes, slam dunk, 61% year-on-year growth. We, beat on top and bottom, shares down 5% all-time high. Wait tomorrow, yeah, and I see the same. If it's not rising tomorrow, maybe 1 week later or 2 months, whatsoever, you know. It seems like the deal is required. I hope there will be some deal with Alphabet and the others, as well with the lawsuit with Anthropic. I hope there will be a good settlement somehow. And then it just rises like whatever, you know, like at least, let's say, a new all-time high, like $280 or something like this. Ravinder Kumar writes, good report and excellent guidance, good day to load up. Stock Scanner writes, spend 1 million on capex. Where is the AI spend? Lol, earnings are untaxed. For your information, so EPS is inflated. Then Envoy Global Research writes, find me a better business in the entire world right now. 90% cross margins, growing at 60% per year. I think the company will be worth 100 billion plus in a few years. Really view this as a safe play to buy on any dips and just hold, and I completely share this. And you can see overall it is positive, the feedback, yeah. Then X Morse Ron writes, and with 9 likes, as much as I find Reddit to be a liberal hive mind and home to probably the most bug-brained, insufferable people imaginable, they sure do know how to run a business. I'm long. These are incredible earnings. More impressed with this one than Microsoft's. If you need a good laugh, though, check out this example of what typical Redditors is like. Okay, I don't click now on this. But yeah, okay, they talk about the users, I think, and the political setting of these users. I think that's not the right space now to talk about this. Jay Cully writes, Reddit is more bots than people, has openly racist policies. Yeah, a lot of times I talk about how people are political, constructed and designed at this platform. Policies that are selectively enforced, they deserve to sell off and eventually go the way of frag.com. Everything today is more bots than people. If you want clarity and real human answers, Reddit is still your best option. Yeah, and that's the truth. That's the truth, man. Really, from my past company, I used Facebook for going for ads, ordering ads, and based on my experience at least, and my feelings, I'm sure it's the truth, I didn't want to go on to order ads and advertisement space on Facebook as a company. Yeah. And then he writing, yeah, where do you go instead of Reddit? What is the alternative, And he writes, real humans answers on Reddit, lol. And that's obviously, come on. I even already posted there. So there are some, I'm a real human. There are for sure some real answers. Excellent quarter, plowed earnings, great results. Reddit keeps printing money. They should be above 200 now. If not, time to grab more. It will be 250 before end of year. Looking like nice buying opportunity with shares dropping now down 13%. Ouch. I doubled up at 150.50 after hours. Let's see if it goes wisely. Yeah, it somehow hurts, but really, in terms of those results, I can't blame this company. I personally think the webcast could be better, the earnings call, the answers sometimes, especially about this data licensing topic. I hope it's not some kind of trap. I hope they will really not have issues with this topic. You never know, really, you never know. Because no matter how good this advertisement stuff is growing, if this AI stuff somehow not finds a good end, I assume it definitely there will be a strong hiccup in terms of the price. It will be some kind of pressure on it for a certain period of time. That's not lovely as an investor. Yeah, but overall feedback is positive. And then let's check out here, the summary of Reddit. They mention it is a strong quarter, but it fails on the AI search, concerns linger. So again, I think they can't remove the doubts in this regard. So what people writing, whoa, beat on every metric and guidance even better. It's the same person who already wrote at the other article. Then Cobalt, who already wrote at the other one, it's a buy. It's where humans can go to answers an increasing fake news universe we live in. Then Skagit writes, I do a lot of simple queries on Google and will run down the discussions back and forth on Reddit. They are typically without matters, unlike the other guys, which seems as it should be. I liked it well enough to build a larger position earlier this week. One hopes this dip is one of the news responses rather than some hurt message that Reddit isn't controversial and spiteful enough. I don't think so. Who cares about AI with these numbers? I'm buying more. Thanks for the dip, folks. Yeah, that is what I share for sure. Of course, you need to consider all numbers, but advertisement numbers are crazy strong with 64% revenue growth year on year and 70% growth of active advertisers and some other good numbers. Good management down, so frustrating. Yeah, I understand this, but nothing new. Yeah, and this is what I share 100% what Nick Fun's writing. Your CEO did not give good answers to the data licensing questions. And that is what that's Seeking Alpha at Aditya. That's Seeking Alpha, seekingalpha.com. It's nice website platform for analysts and users, investors, talking about stocks, getting a lot of information about stocks. And I like it very much. I can recommend. But you need to pay money to have full insights, yeah? What he is writing, he's negotiating for them to pay Reddit more. Court case against Anthropic is virtually a slam dunk. Another data licensing custom guaranteed. Bottom line is Reddit data is too valuable to ignore for the licensing fee. The way too affordable. Yeah, I think there is some kind of settlement going on with Anthropic and Reddit somehow. I think there are some deadlines, or have been some deadlines, and it looks like some payment will take place, and then they will be as well data licensing customers for the AI stuff, Anthropic, but let's see. Then they trade long term. Is writing, what a gift. I'm adding more shares tomorrow. Anything under 165 is the easiest choice in the whole market. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the easiest choice, but I think it's an easy choice from my perspective. I'm still very convinced. Since I'm invested, there was never a price I thought, okay, that's too expensive for me, for this company. Again, it's very unique. It's very aggressive. It's really like, I was maybe too young for Meta and Facebook in the past. And somehow it was never the culture whatsoever I want to be invested in. Even this might be a bad reason, but I feel very well for Reddit as an investor as well as a user, even if I'm not that active. Again, I told you the reasons. Yeah. However, guys, that was it. That was it. And now I just give you a quick outlook to the companies and the calls and streams which are left in this Q2 2026 earnings quarter. And you can see, I mean, I'm a shareholder of 4 companies: Grab, New, Reddit, and Rubrik. Reddit we already covered. That's the reason why it's not boxed in with this green yellow coloring. But next earnings call will be Grab on the 3rd of August, which is already next Monday. It's very deep, late night most of the time, German time, something like 1 a.m. or something like this CET, and which is like 7 p.m. ET, very likely, so like in New York, for instance. Yeah, but this will be the next earnings call. Very interested in it. I mean, during the closing of the Strait of Hormuz and the war between USA and Israel and Iraq, what the fuck, Iran. I think in terms of the fuel supply, the oil supply, that's not going that well for Grab. I mean, Grab is like Uber mixed with banking as well. In Southeast Asia, active I think in 9 countries, soon in 10, because they acquired company in Taiwan. Yeah, but I'm very curious about this because now we're getting closer in terms of Grab, in terms of break even of the newest rising star, which is the banking business, and that's a big reason why I'm invested in it. So very curious about those results, how banking business is developing and how they can resist the current situation with rising fuel prices in Southeast Asia. The next one will be New will take place likely on the 13th of August, which is, wow, it's a Tuesday, first day, and the last one will be Rubrik. That's in September. You can see at the 8th of September, Rubrik, cybersecurity, data management platform, and cyber resilience company out of the US. Yeah, which should actually participate on the Microsoft cloud growth very heavily, and as well on the other cloud growths like on Alphabet and of course on Amazon. That is the outlook for the last and other free live earnings. I will definitely back with you guys this quarter. And guys, I already mentioned it, but I mentioned it one more time. If you appreciate what you have seen here, enjoyed it, even if it was a quite long trip, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You could follow me as well on Instagram, A Sense of Capital. A like to this stream would support me very well. Highly appreciate this. You can leave as well comments, of course, and interact with me underneath the stream, the recorded stream. So feel free as well to use the space, and you can send me as well a DM all the time if you like. And I tried my best to answer and reply on point. Yeah, guys, and that's it. That was it today. So we always finalize with the same procedure, which means another disclaimer. In the past 3 hours, almost 3 hours, crazy. It was not financial advice, no consultation whatsoever. There was no guarantee for correctness, or there is no guarantee for correctness of the provided data. Make sure you do your own due diligence, your own research. Again, I'm an amateur investor, not a professional one, regular private person who just sharing opinion. Make sure you do your own decisions, and I cross my fingers your decisions are right. And yeah, guys, that's it. Feel free to join the next stream on upcoming Monday, Tuesday, depending where you're located, of Grab. Would be very interesting, I think. Stock's quite down. I think there's a lot of potential going up again and bounce. And yeah, as always, more important than money is health and social environment. So take care of yourself and your beloved ones. Aditya, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I hope it was enjoyable and it's supportive somehow whatsoever. It already helps me if I can interact with you guys and you challenge me a bit in this kind of stuff. It's good. I would do this anyhow. As an investor, I would check it on my own as well, but maybe not in this detail and something like this. So I enjoy this kind of sessions. Always looking for this only handful live earning streams I do each quarter. But yeah, I love to do them. Yeah, it's really my hobby. It's not about making money here whatsoever. Obviously, I'm not doing any other stuff on this YouTube. Not doing the most popular companies. Reddit is, I think, the by far most popular one, at least in the Western world. Yeah, but love to do it, and I highly appreciate your feedback, man. Really, that's correct. However, guys, to the others as well, have a great rest of the day or new day or whatsoever. Take care of yourself. Yeah, and looking forward to see you again, guys. Cheers and bye. A sense of capital.